Max, it's still the nation's number one talk news and sports radio station, 99.3. The big hard facts today is on Imo State. Now, for the past 3 weeks, we've been talking about off-cycle elections and what's happening in the different states that these off-cycle elections will be holding. We've talked about Bayelsa. Last week we talked about Kogi, and today we want to talk about Imo State. Now, for those who have been following the news even before the last elections that we had, you would realize that the Imo State has become a hotbed of sorts, especially when it has to do with insecurity and a little bit of violence and uprising. We've seen too many of it. I remember when the Anambra elections were holding, a lot of people were worried as to the fact that, what was happening in Imo State might spill over into Anambra and some other parts of the southeast. Now, we also know what's been happening in Anambra and other southeastern states, but the case of Imo has been amazingly worrisome. Several pundits, several analysts, and even government officials have spoken about what's happening in Imo State. And today we're going to be looking at the elections that are coming up, the major worries, concerns of INEC officials, and of course, even the people who are to show up for the elections on that day. My guest is joining us. Achike Chude is a public affairs analyst. He's also one of those people who fight for good governance in Nigeria, and he'll be joining us live from Abuja. Mr. Chude, if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Good evening.
Yes, would like to see your camera. Would like to see.
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Yes. Would also like to see you if your camera is able to position you well so we can see you. But first things first, let's talk about the peculiarity of the insecurity that has one way or the other bedeviled Imo State, and why this has continued gone past elections, the general elections, and it's continued into this year. And the year is about to wrap up. And it seems like no one's been able to really put a handle on the insecurity in Imo State. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, obviously the government has duties, has a responsibility and obligation to ensure the safety of citizens. And it is the most important. Even before you begin to talk about the welfare of the citizens, you must talk about the safety, because it is only people that are safe, only people that are alive that can be protected, that you can provide welfare for.
Okay.
So,
oh my goodness. Mr. Chude, can you hear me? Mr. Chude, can you hear me? We'll try this again. If it's not working, we'll probably just call you over the phone. But can you hear me?
Attacks on ordinary people and entities. Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
All right, go ahead.
Hello,
we're having, we're having interruptions, and we're thinking maybe we should switch to telephone. Go ahead. Let's see if we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. So, the security has been much, but and there's no way it's going to impact election, because the essence of this criminal activities sometimes, especially in an electoral period, is to try to scare the people, and so when that happens and they sufficiently put fear in the minds of people, then it becomes easy for some politicians to have their way, because it's easier when you have a less number of people. The electoral process, it's easier to manipulate that process in that manner. And so it's sad that it has continued unabatedly. It's sad that so many people have lost their lives, and now we have an election. What exactly is going to happen? Of course, this doesn't mean that people will not turn out, regardless of the insecurity. There are some that would brave it and turn out for their candidates, but perhaps not the number of people you're going to. We have 2 registered Imo State. If we can have anything as close to 1,000, well, that would be wonderful. Perhaps about 30% of the registered voters, but that I think uphill to achieve.
Let's talk about I mean, it's one thing to be dealing with insecurity. It's another to be seen to be dealing with insecurity. What can you say about the body language of the government and security agencies in Imo State in terms of dealing with this ongoing insecurity?
I think that a general the body language seems to be that of people who have given up and who believe that they have tried their best and then their best is simply not enough. Sometimes when you have a very horrendous attacks, for instance, on security personnel in the state, then you hear the governor making, to deal with the educators to book, same thing with the police commissioner. Ultimately, the whole thing, dies, and then nothing, yet nobody hears anything about it until another one happens. So it's, I don't want to say that, of course, I argued before now that the violence in the southeast is fully motivated, and some people within political actors, some of the state actors and non-state actors are responsible for the growing violence or the violence in the most states. So,
Mr. Chude, are you there? Oh my goodness. I'm going to try to call you. We're going to try to switch gears to the phone so that we don't have this interference. Once we're able to do that, we'll bring you back on, Mr. Chude. I'll just stay with us. It's hard facts, and we are on a big hard fact today, which is Imo State. The peculiarity of the situation that Imo State has is they're getting ready to go to the elections. The INEC. INEC's major concern is obviously insecurity. The people of Imo also have that same concern with INEC and how to ensure the credible, free and fair elections in Imo State if it's the elephant in the room. We'll be right back after this break. I'll try to get my guest on the phone in just a minute. Get him on the phone that we can hear him clearly. So we're going to try one more time to get Achike on the phone. Once we're able to do that, we will continue with the conversation. Stay with us.
Over a million people tune into Hard Fact every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts. You hear diverse voices and
on the phone because your Zoom connection has been a bit dodgy.
Okay, no, I have to change my down.
No, we pray here.
Better.
So I was talking about you were trying to explain to us, the language of government and of course security agencies in dealing with the issue. Now you said something about the fact that it looks like they've all somewhat thrown in the towel, and this is a government that obviously has. Is trying to run second tenure. That's one. Secondly, the job of the government is to protect lives and property. If the government is seen to have given up, then where is the hope for the average Imo person? Again, how will this in any way motivate anybody to go out and vote on election day?
Yeah, well, don't forget that violence has gone on in this country for 12, 14 years, from the days of Boko Haram. Before then, the militants in the creeks, the Niger Delta militants, and then you now have the bandits, the unknown gunmen, and so many. And the fact that they are still going on today, and the Nigerians are still being killed left, right, and center in different parts of the country, especially the north, and then parts of the southeast, simply tells you that government seems to have lost the ability to curtail this. And again, perhaps part of the reason why this violence has continued in Imo State, for instance, is that there has been insinuations that some within the political circle, are involved in this, and that it is politically motivated. Perhaps it is true. I don't exactly know. Though the police have not come out to confirm it. But then you know that the police do not essentially determine what happens with regards to security in the country. So, this depends on the language of the political actors. But there's no way this impacts negatively on the election. People their lives, even for those who are motivated exercise their franchise. They don't want to do it when they know that the environment is not conducive for that. And also the fact that it's not just running an election and then people go to the poll vote. And the environment under which an election occurs, it goes a long way in determining the credibility of the election itself. And so I'm not exactly, government will seem to have done the best. I can say right now that government are complicit, apart from what the rumor is saying, that the police are responsible. And of course, it's not beyond the politicians, the nature and character of politicians. Indeed, they are not patriotic and they are not committed. And if you do not have a certain level of patriotism and commit to the issues of the welfare of Nigerians, then it goes. And I think that to some extent that's why we are this situation. So we have 2.4 million registered voters in Imo State. How many we expected to see turn up? If we can get 800,000 Imoites, that would be excess. I would say that would constitute 30% of the voting population. But I'm not sure I have as much as 400,000. We have been seeing that for quite some time. A low amount of the voters. Even you do not have very heavy insecurity, security issues. Not to talk of a place they say that has become the epicenter of insecurity, Southeast, because that is what Imo State forest right now. So it does not bode well for turnout.
Right. So let's please now. Let's talk about something that INEC has spoken of, which is that there are certain places voters didn't even register. Let me go that story so I can quote INEC directly. The Supervising National Electoral Commission in Imo State, Ukiabu, said the election will be held in 38 polling units because INEC recorded 0 registered vote there. He said at his presentation of the voter registration political parties last week Thursday, the state capital. He said that 17 political parties would field candidates in the elections, but he said that 38 polling units, which a total of 4,758 polling units, earlier marked for the elections, 38 out of those 4,000 will not, record any elections. I go out on a limb to say that maybe the areas where, the insecurity more rife.
No, I don't think there's any evidence for just. It might not be related to insecurity. Don't forget that people were making the case to also break up some police that had so many registered voters to see whether they can put them to other places so that they too much or a very heavy concentration of in a particular place, maybe 1,000 in polling unit A, why polling unit B have 20, or why there's no other place. So what they did was to have more polling units in some of these other places, but it was discovered not in Imo State. Some of these places did not attract voters, and they didn't test because those places were prone to security. Perhaps maybe there was a mistake in the approaches about where to locate some of these polling. And so if you look at the 38 polling units where you talked about where elections will not take place, you realize that it's just an infinite number, very insignificant when you call the fact that it's likely it's going to take place in 4,750 polling units. So 38 polling units is significant, and I don't think it will have any serious impact on the election itself. It might not be led to insecurity. It might not be.
Okay, but as much as 38 polling units will not be big in a number, that's a number of people who might be disenfranchised. So, I mean...
No, they will not be disenfranchised. Remember what you said. You said they were INEC
registered, but
they all registered. INEC had the infrastructure, people to register. They did not get there. They did not register. There was no zero registration of voters. So this is not our advertisement now.
So, but can we also just fold our arms and say, well, people come out to vote? I mean, these are places also that should also get some form of governance. They will one way or the other get voted into that place, whether they vote or not. So can we also say that SOs, NGOs, the orientation, national orientation agency and the likes have not necessarily done their job in terms of getting people to be interested in voting?
Yeah, but perhaps if we had the benefit of some of these issues before now, maybe we would have made some investigation to find out whether there are people living around those places or whether they have more people living in those places or there are few people living there. Obviously, the fact that INEC allocated those polling units to those places is an indication people live there. Do you understand? So I don't know. But again, it's also possible that some of these people registered in other places not too far from that place and have decided that these are the places where they go to vote, and they do not see any reason for them to go to somewhere else. Human beings generally do not like change, especially if that change is a bit radical. I don't know, but there is a possibility. You might be right that perhaps the National Orientation Agency, people have often asked the question, where is the NOA in all this discussion about elections in this country? They were very absent in the last election, very, very few activities. And then perhaps the NGOs within that area have also not done their own bit. But it might be too hasty to generally condemn the NGOs, really.
All right. Well, let's quickly look at other issues. Before I let you, before we will go on a quick break, I think I have just 2 minutes. Let's look at the governor's performance so far in Imo State, I mean, there are a lot of people till today who still, sort of, kiss their teeth when they think of Hope Uzodinma. They think about someone who was fourth and then who became governor. They also look at the performance and say, well, we don't really blame him because if we did vote him in, be able to get him to be accountable. So it's a two-pronged question. Is it a fault of more people that they probably because they didn't for him or because they did not love the way court process went, they've also rested on their oars that they're probably part of the reason why they're not getting good governance. And also on the side of the governor, maybe because he feels accountable to the people, hence the lack of development in the state. I'll let you answer.
Well, you know that first of all, that way it is. It's a matter of fact. More people of Imo State did not vote for him. He did not put him in. He was not the one that won the election. Somebody won the election, but the result was cancelled Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court appointed him. He used the word or declared that he was the governor of Imo State. So I think that is where he started from. He is not. He has the issues from the moment that he became governor, and that was why he was given that Supreme Court. And that clears you. He's not our governor. About a few people, about 7 people in rooms and a week, decided that he would lead that governor. So that is that. But beyond that, again, I'm sure you can ask the governor, Hope Uzodinma, and you kiss people. They will tell you that the governor handled, marvelously well. That's what I tell you. Even though they are not the ones who take that decision, it is the people. And the only way people can actually determine that the government has done well is to cast their votes in the if their votes are allowed count. And if they are allowed to vote unhindered, any form of pressure or threat to them, and then they express either the pleasure of the content demands of the governor. But only one has met a lot of people from Imo State who that the governor has not done anything to just his position as governor of Imo. I know. So this is like I said, different after all. The president's spokesman, former president, made a statement recently. What's his name?
So I'm going to have you hold that thought. Come back. We'll talk more about this, and of course, we'll the other people who are running against him. Station will be right back. All right. Well, we still have a Chude on the line with Okon. Should be coming soon. And thank you very and people. So I'll sign up for you.
Before, the problem is say our shoulder too high. There's below our chest. Now, the one we never lack airtime, credit and data. On our low whether cash day or cash not day. They make the people for the market. We know they call ourselves generation.
Nigeria Info.
All right, well, still hard facts. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Achike Chude is our guest and still online with us. We have talking about what's happening in Imo State, but we want to go in on the conversation, Lagos. If you are from Imo State, you're from the southeast, and you've just what happened in Imo State the whole time. What do you think average Imo person can do to make sure that Imo State is safe, to keep government accountable at all levels, to make sure that you can live as usual? And again, going into election time, how do you make sure that those elections are credible, free, and fair? Mr. Chude, quickly before I got into the conversation, I did say we were going to other people who are running against Governor Hope Uzodinma. Do they stand a chance? And what are some of the qualities that the obvious qualities that you can see?
Yeah, well, it is difficult to say that they stand a chance. Let us not deceive ourselves. But democratic system is not what it should be. Our politicians have not learned the virtues and the ideals, and they have not embraced the virtues of democracy. For them, it is a win and all. It's a win at all cost scenario, and so they will do everything. They will deploy every a kind of anti-democratic measures to ensure that they win. For instance, for incumbents, usually they control the means of coercion in the country, and so. And then, of course, they have unending resources, which they use to perpetuate themselves in power. And this is what we have seen in virtually all the elections in Nigeria. You see them using state resources in an unjust and illegal manner, denying their opponents the rights that they have, for instance, to use certain public infrastructure that are not the property of the governor. But in most cases, they will not allow them, or they impose punitive, fines or amounts of money, or very serious amounts of money that they exact from them, instead of allowing them to, have free access to those properties. So these are some of the issues. And so you see that even in the elections that are taking place, not just in Imo State, but also in Kogi State also, and the other state where it is holding, you see state Bayelsa, you see state resources being used in an illegal manner against their political opponents. And then, of course, like I said, the access to security agents also, they are essentially in control of that too. So they also influence security agencies to act in manners that are contrary to the tenets of democracy. Okay. So these are some of the obstacles that stand in the way of their opponents. That's why it's usually very difficult for them to unseat an incumbent.
Okay.
But that is not to say that efforts will not be made. You look at the PDP person.
I'm sorry, in 30 seconds, because I want to bring Lagos in because of time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I do not think that the opponent, for instance, the man from the PDP, Anyanwu, and then Chono, I think, from the Labour Party. Labour Party has been able to make some serious stride in the country after the last general election. So that puts the man in the limelight. He's not a very well-known public figure before now, but he has some means, he has some money. Okay. And then, of course, the man from the PDP, 3 governors came in the other time without Ihedioha, who is supposed to be a statesman within the PDP in Imo State. So obviously there are fractions, and we have had these divisions even within the Labour Party all this while. But for that of APC, it's been a smooth ride because nobody was going to contend with the governor. If he indicated intention to run for the governorship, the second term. Okay. So these are some of the issues. They are going to make very serious efforts, but whether that will be enough. But in terms of popularity, I'm not sure that the governor of Imo State is popular among the citizens of Imo State. Again, like I said, because essentially of the way he came to power, he is not seen as somebody who is representative of the will of the people. And under normal circumstances, if you have a smooth electoral process, then I think that the governor will suffer some measure of damage.
Okay, let me bring some people in. Somebody sent us a message here on WhatsApp saying, good day. With the way elections are being decided by courts in our country today, we will end up not having general elections in the country. All we would have henceforth will be the so-called off-cycle elections. But let me take a call quickly. Apologies. Do call us back if that was you. 0700 993 993 993. That's the number for you to call. 01465 7190. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, Miriam, this is my first time of calling.
Oh, great.
This is Oliver. Oliver, I'm calling from Okoto in Ikorodu here.
All right, you have 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, you have said it all. You see, I'm from Owerri North.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. So now, you are not the way they brought hope. That's why all securities, we citizens, we have information to give security agents. But for that, we are not happy with him. We cannot work in somebody we are not happy with. So that is the problem. But today, and another factor in state is that Owerri zone, believe the next governor will be their own because although the area zone has ruled the time of them one roaches will cover 2 times. So no Owerri zone. That was what they want.
He's not barrister. Go ahead quickly.
The lawyer is seriously biased. I think as a lawyer, she's up to.
He's not a lawyer. I just told you he's not a lawyer. Analyst. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I just to let you know, he's not a lawyer. Well, he's not a lawyer. Just put it out there. He's not a lawyer. He's an analyst. He is not a lawyer. I repeat, lawyer. But unfortunately, we're out of time. I want to say thank you very much. Achike today is a political analyst, not a lawyer. He also works with civil society. Achike, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much. Well, that's it, Legs. So we have put here because time waits for no one. But thank you all for the birthday wish. I appreciate it. Tomorrow we'll be back on the.